and welcome to Purpose Talk Decembre. I am here today with the one and only Mr. Brandon of Nashville, Tennessee. This man has an amazing story that you will not want to miss on today. Make sure you are tuning in, spread the news, tell everyone, make sure they are watching, whether it's on YouTube, preach the word, wherever they got to watch today's story. So when we come right back, trust and believe, we're going to be here with Mr. Brandon. Welcome back to Purpose Talk with Decembre. I am here, as I said earlier, with Mr. Brandon. Brandon, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me something about you that no one knows. Before you tell your amazing story, we got to start with that one thing no one knows.
All right. Well, my hidden secret is I am the best popcorn maker. You probably know.
Popcorn? Oh, you didn't bring me any? Oh my gosh, I'm crushed. You got to bring some next time.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you had an amazing bio. I totally loved your bio. I read through it. I was very touched. You have a heartfelt story, which is why we had to move from the studio, because I wanted somewhere that was more personable, that you could really share your story. So tell me a little bit. Tell the people about you.
Well, I am 27 years old. I recently got married.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How long?
6 months.
Okay.
We're going on month 6.
Oh, okay.
We got married in September. But I come from a very small hometown. It's Grand Saline, Texas. We have our one celebrity out in Grand Saline.
Not like my hometown.
He is the gospel singer Chris Tomlin. He's been a great inspiration to me.
Love him. Gosh, no. Okay.
And I love sharing my story. You know, I want to continue to put my story out there as a way to show people that your past does not have to define you. What you've been through does not have to define you, but you can let it build you into something great.
So you said you love to share your story.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me your story. How did you get started as an inspirational speaker? How did you get started into just loving God and just being the man that you are today?
Well, I was actually saved at the age of 12 years old at a high school event. And from there, being a youngster, I went through school, had my ups and downs, but I graduated high school and I began to do some prison ministry with a very close friend of mine named John Fuller, who has since passed. But he is the one that got me so dedicated to Christ.
Okay.
And serving God in mighty ways. So then...
Now, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Now, you said you got into prison ministry. You were not in prison.
No, ma'am.
You just began, because when you say that, people automatically think, wait, hold up, you were locked up. Okay.
Nah.
Right. Okay.
Never been in prison for a crime, but I have done quite a bit of ministry in prison.
Okay.
And met many great people, and they have mentored me into who I am today. Okay. I also experienced tons of trauma, some self-inflicted, some out of my control, like the loss of my mother at the age of 3, my father walking away before I was born, and then I had to have life-saving surgery at 18 days old for pyloric stenosis.
And what is that?
So that is a disease. I call it a disease. It's something that comes with newborns. It's pretty rare, but it's where you cannot digest your food.
Okay.
So they had that corrected. God willing, I was able to come through it. No lifelong issues from it. But I've also, from those things, I've also had the self-inflicted wounds that, such as getting in relationships I should have never got myself into.
Okay, let's back up.
Okay.
Let's back up to your mom before we get into your relationship.
Okay.
Your mom passed at 3.
Yes, ma'am.
How did she pass away?
She had melanoma cancer.
Okay.
She had 10 brain tumors.
And you did not have a relationship with your father?
None.
So do you feel like that shaped you to who you are today?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like there was just the lack of not having a father? Because a lot of young people grow up without fathers. And they either get into a lot of trouble, mm-hmm. or they end up being more successful because they didn't have their father.
Right.
And we play down fathers not being out in the children's lives, but that is such a great hindrance on who you can be and what you should be.
Right.
So do you feel like that played a major role in who you are today?
Well, my upbringing was a little bit different. With my mom passing away at 3 years old, my father walking out before I was born, okay. I was adopted by family friends, very close. So I did have a mother and father, but they adopted me. Okay. So I had a great upbringing and a great family that loved me, whereas other people would have been in the system. So I'm blessed for that. Good. To not have had to go into the system.
Right. But even with that, I grew up with my mom, my mm-hmm. biological mom, and my father walked out on my life, but I grew up with my stepdad. Mm-hmm. Amazing man. God knows he is. Love him to the core. But I always felt that I needed to find my father. Right. I needed to know who he was, and I did. In my late 30s, I went out to find my father. But I always felt that need to know who he was and why did he leave. Do you ever feel that need to want to go and find your father?
That's been done.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how did that go?
Well, at 18 years old, when I realized that I had 3 brothers that I didn't know, through him. I knew of my father, but I never really met him, knew him personally. So I decided that when I turned 18 years old, that I would go meet him at least once. Okay. And when I met him, it was just as my entire life had anticipated. It was nothing. There was nothing there. There's still nothing there. But okay. I'm at peace with that because he chose that.
Right. Okay. Now let's fast forward to your relationship.
Okay.
Reading your bio, I think we all fall into the trap of choosing the wrong person. We have all done that, been there, done that, wrote the book, made the movie, produced the whole film.
Yeah.
We've all been there. So how do you feel your new beautiful wife, who is 6 months into this beautiful marriage, how do you feel like that shaped all of the things that led up to your marriage to who you are for her?
That's a great question. Well, from multiple failed relationships with endless reasons as to why I was in those relationships, they shaped me into the man I am today. I am more loyal. I am more faithful. I am more loving.
Say it one more time and look at the camera when you say that.
Through those failed relationships, I've learned to be more loving, more faithful, more loyal, and more of a man that my wife would need. And I wasn't married in the times before. So I'm grateful that I was able to have those experiences to be the best man I could be for my wife.
Good. So with your beautiful wife, do you have, did she have any children? Do you have any children? And that you all had to bring into your relationship?
That is our greatest blessing. So once I got renewed with my walk with God.
Okay.
After hitting rock bottom, I chose to live every aspect of my life more for Him. So I chose not to engage in anything sexual with any female. So I chose abstinence from that point forward. And I did not have any children prior to, neither did she. So she was able to save herself for 28 years.
Wow.
Completely waited for me.
Wow.
I wish I was able to say I'd done the same for her, but together, when we got together, we made that pact together that we would wait till we were married, and we did.
Oh my gosh, so rare. Say it one more time. You did.
We did. We waited.
So rare. That is amazing. So is she also saved as well?
She is.
Good, good. So you all were able to do the we're equally yoked.
Oh my gosh! What's funny is the fact that I was just about to say we're very equally yoked.
Good.
I love the way you come at it with that.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Well, when we come back, we will meet this beautiful wife of his real briefly. She doesn't know I'm bringing her on camera because she's here with us today. But I do want you all to see the woman who has helped shape and mold him. And we're going to do that real briefly as we continue to interview him. And we'll be back on Purpose Talk with Decembre. Welcome back to Purpose Talk with Decembre, and I am here with the beautiful Mrs. Brandon. You know, nobody goes by your last name; you're just known as his first name. So, welcome, love. Tell me about you. First, let's start with your name, and tell me, how did you meet him?
My name is Raven. And we met online on a Christian dating app.
Oh wow! Okay, and don't think we can actually name that Christian dating app. We can't. But did you think that was kind of weird to meet on a, because not everybody that say they're Christians are Christian.
Well, you can kind of easily weed out just by the questions that you ask people, or just their air about themselves. Okay. I think it's become more prevalent with online dating,
right?
Even in the Christian circles. So just be careful with ask the good questions, and you can kind of weed out the people that are there for the wrong reasons or the people there that aren't genuine.
Okay, so you met on a Christian dating site. So I take it you are saved and love God, and you're doing the right thing, trying. We're all trying and striving, correct?
Yeah, I'm a Christian. I've been a Christian since I was very young age. I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and I strive every day to try to be more like Him. And it's hard some days, but you just gotta take one day at a time.
Now, when you met him online, what did you think?
I mean, at first, I'm not gonna be I'll be very honest. I thought he was really cute. He was one of the cutest people I've ever seen.
Did he have the spikes going on?
No, I know. He actually, he had long hair. He had probably ear length hair, very long hair for a guy.
Okay.
And so it was and he's very charismatic, and was just very kind, and just was just want to know about me as a person, not all the looks wise. It's more personality and what are your goals, and being very intentional with his questions, with his time with me.
Say it one more time. He was being what?
Intentional.
I love it. Good. Okay, so you all communicated with one another for how long?
About 2 or 3 months before we met.
Okay.
And then he flew out to Nashville.
So. Oh, look at you! He flew out to Nashville. Okay.
And I'll tell everybody this story. He actually mistakenly almost got in the wrong car. We needed to go pick him up at the airport.
Oh.
we were the car behind him, so it's kind of a funny story. Every time we go to Nashville Airport, we're make sure you don't hop in the wrong car this time.
So he almost got into the wrong car. Then he found Mrs. Right. I love it. How long were you all dating before you got married?
We were dating for a year and got engaged, and then were engaged for a year.
Okay.
Before we got married.
Okay, so 2 years total you were together. Okay, so then you got married. Did your family accept him? How did that go? Because moms, my daughters bring home their boyfriends. I don't care what they are. Nobody good enough for my baby.
They accepted him. He was very open and honest, and was you can ask me anything about my past, about my future, my plans with her, anything. I'll tell you anything you want to know. I think that made it a lot easier, because I never brought anybody home. Brandon was the first person I brought home.
Oh.
So.
And how old were you?
I was 27.
And you never brought anybody home? Girl, I like you.
I was very driven and just focused on my career, and I was somebody will we'll stick it out, like,
Right. And I tell everybody, if you go home and meet my mom and dad, we get married tomorrow. I'm telling you, I don't take people home either, so I understand. Do you all now? He told me you all do not have any children. You did not have any. Do you plan on having children? Come on, tell.
Yeah, we have to
Give
have
me
like,
the juice.
at least one child.
At least
We'll
one.
start with one, and then we'll see. But we like to travel and go and do things.
Okay.
So we want to be able to provide our child with a great opportunity to go see the world, because we like to travel, and we want to present that to our child that we have in the future. So.
And you love supporting his inspirations and yes, and traveling with him. That's good.
I'm behind the scenes type of gal, so
I know that's why I had to bring you out here. Well, thank you. I wanted you all to meet her. It was nowhere I can have her just off the scenes. I had to have her in here so you are in front of the camera, so you all can see the woman, not the woman standing behind the man, but the woman standing beside the man. We'll be right back on Purpose Talk with Decembre.
What makes someone turn to violence? That's the question.
What's the point of protesting if we all can't come together and understand the reason of what we're up against?
Is it the condition that we live in? The movies we make? The music we listen to?
Shot in the back, no explanation for that. Other than I'm black. David Chappelle's sketch is funny but true. Sprinkle them with crack, imagine that. I'll take your life at this life.
Different songs encourage different events that go on in your life. During the time that you were struggling with drug addiction, what was the song that you had to listen to that kind of like pulled you out of it, or made you come to your senses and say, hey, this isn't me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to do this. Was there one particular song?
Absolutely.
And what was that?
There was actually two that really stuck out.
Okay.
There was Broken by Lifehouse, and that song came on as I was driving down the road, and I was at my worst place in life. I was at the darkest area of my life.
Okay.
And that song came on, and it was exactly what I've been going through and what I was going through at the time. And then I also picked up on this song called Let It Fade by Jeremy Camp.
Okay.
And it was singing about let this old life fade away.
Right. Now, I can speak for self, and I'm sure you can relate to what I'm about to say. I think we struggle with good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
We do, especially when we've lived an evil life.
Right.
And I don't mean evil as in murder, raping, kidnapping. I'm talking about just doing things that we know are not aligned to God's will.
Exactly.
And I think we struggle every day. The same way people say it takes a lot to do good, it does not take a lot to do bad. It's hard. It is so much easier to do bad over good. And it's like the devil sitting over here and God is sitting over here, and the devil sliding around in the front.
Right.
And
So
he just tried to be more focused, but we have to focus more on God. I tell everybody every day, it's like being married. You can't just get married and say, hey, I'm married now and we have this commitment. You have to work to keep your wife happy. You have to work to love her, to show her she's loved, to be faithful. And so that's how God is. If we just say we saved, we can't just wake up and just say, well, I'm saved today. You know, we got to keep our mind, as the Bible says, keep your mind stayed on Him.
Right.
We got to read the Bible. We got to watch what we put into our ear gates. So with that being said, do you find it more difficult when you're, or maybe a simple argument with your wife or with your family or your friends, do you find yourself saying, you know what, forget it. I just can go back to being Brandon, doing Brandon. Do you ever find yourself wanting to say that?
There have been times where I wanted to throw my hands up in different situations. There's all types of scenarios in life. But as I've been striving more to be more like Christ, and that's why I've captioned my ministry that I started back in 2020 as At Christ-like Copyright. to be more Christ-like. So I try to keep my life centered around God and focus on His will rather than my own, because I spent so much time getting to the bottom that now I'm going to spend much more time heading to the top for God.
I like that. Say that one more time.
We're going
I
to
like
continue to strive for perfection, and we're going to do mighty things for God.
Correct. So, name some of these mighty things that you're doing for God? I know you're doing the interviews, and I know you're speaking out about Christ. But what are some impactful things that you are doing, personally impactful?
So, like I said, in 2020, I launched a ministry called 2020 Ministries.
Okay.
This was to help others see Christ more clearly. I manage and direct this. I also have someone back from my hometown that also assists behind the scenes, as well as my wife. And we run this ministry, and it is reaching thousands and thousands of people per post.
Okay.
These are inspirational quotes that I come up with, and whether I put it together, my wife puts it together, and we put it out there. For example, just when you think you can't do it, God will get you through it. It's just an example.
Okay.
So one of our last posts we put up over a course of about 4 or 5 days reached over 20,000 likes.
Yeah.
And that to me is just numbers that show that God is behind it rather than me.
Right.
Because it was very self-centered. I was a very self-centered individual up to the point of starting this ministry. So it's such a blessing to be able to use a ministry and then see it flourish because God is at work.
Do you find yourself I'm sorry, let me back up a little. How old were you when you went ahead and committed your life to Christ?
12 years old.
You were 12.
And can I tell you something on that?
Sure.
So at 12 years old, I accepted Christ in my life. And that was I got baptized. It was as real as it gets.
Okay.
But one of the most inspirational parts to me about myself is the fact that at 12 years old, I was saved. And at 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 years old, I hit my lowest. That shows you right there that God will leave the 99 to find the one, as He says in His Word.
Right.
And I was the one that shows through all that, He never gave me more than I could bear.
Right.
I did attempt suicide at one time, but I did not succeed because I had said I'd had enough. I had lived my better days, and I was done. And God said, "No, this is just getting started."
Your story is not over.
Right.
Good. Okay, so you rededicated your life to God at how old?
24 years old.
At 24. And you're 27 now. Yes. So in the past 3 years since you've given your life back to God, have you found that you've had to cut certain friends off, family members off? Because as much as we love our family and our so-called friends,
right,
that at different stages of your life, some people you can't take along,
right.
Unfortunately. We would like to take everyone along, but some people you have to put at a distance. Have you found that you've had to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Some even being family. And with that, there are people, God puts people in your lives for seasons.
Yes, He does.
I have traveled a lot in my time, and I've met a lot of people, but I've centered my life and surrounded myself with other like-minded individuals.
Okay.
Who are striving for God's will as well. I have so many great people around me that are doing great things that I get to work with hand in hand and that are going to continue. They support the ministry. They do things for my ministry. They do things for me, and they help me to accomplish my goals. So cutting people out was just part of the mission. That was part of, it's just like cutting the devil out. You got to cut the devil out when he starts getting in your head, lingering more than he needs to be. You got to let him go.
That's right.
And that goes with 2 Timothy 4:5, where be sober-minded, Do the work of evangelist.
Sorry. Sorry about that, guys. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Be sober-minded. That's the devil just trying to
Right,
distract.
it is, but go right ahead. Keep talking.
Do the work of an evangelist and fulfill your ministry.
Right.
And that's what we're doing.
Good, you're filling your ministry.
Fulfilling, yes.
That's good. So what is the next step for Mr. Brandon? Tell me about that. And your beautiful wife.
She just comes along for the ride and does things behind the scenes.
Good.
And luckily today she was able to get on camera. But as far as the future goes, we're going to continue to do these radio shows.
Right.
Grow the ministry that we have already found so much success and growth with. And in the foreseeable future, we are pushing for greater opportunities that are in the works, such as going on the Huckabee Show with John Huckabee.
Okay.
There's a couple of other shows that we're looking to try and get on, but as far as immediate and the foreseeable future, the Huckabee Show is up next.
Okay, good. Well, I look forward to seeing what you do. I have been, when we connected, I have just been following you every time you do an interview, every time you make a post, when you got your baseball cap on and you stand in the room, I'm watching. It's encouraging because I believe that no matter how big you get, everybody can encourage you in one way or another.
Absolutely.
If you're on that same path, to just better and betterment, to just be a better person, to strive to be better. I don't believe that this person is better than this person, that we're all headed to one destination.
Exactly.
We should be in it.
Right. As a fact.
Right, we should be. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining us on today. Thank you for coming out here to Atlanta, Georgia. Y'all, he came all the way from Nashville. But he has been nothing but a blessing. Him and, again, his gorgeous wife have been nothing but a blessing. So thank you again for tuning in to Purpose Talk with Decembre. Also behind the scenes, not only the production company, but I have to give a special shout out to one person who's going to probably kill me after the show, but to Jacqueline Adams. Guys, she really has my heart in her heart and in her hands, and I truly appreciate everything she does, both on camera, behind the scenes. Y'all, she does so much production with the other production team that you would be surprised. So thank you so much, Jacqueline. Thank you to everyone, to Mr. Angelo for photography, to Mr. Chris for photography, to Miss Marilyn at Preach the Word Network, to just everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We couldn't do this without you, to all of the viewers. We look forward to seeing you every Wednesday on Purpose Talk with Decembre, reaching over 80 million homes worldwide. You all have a blessed day.